Hello and welcome to the North Coast Journal Preview, where we take a look at the stories being covered in the current edition of the North Coast Journal. I'm your host, Dave Frank, and I'm joined this week by Iridian Casares, staff writer, and Jennifer Famico Cahill, arts and features editor at the North Coast Journal. Welcome, guys.
Hey,
Hello.
Dave. Welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah, a little holiday break, but it's really great to get back in the saddle and connect with you guys. And Iridian, it's good to see you again. Welcome.
Yeah, it's great to see you again. I'm glad to be back. Yeah.
Right on. Well, we're going to start with you, actually, Iridian, and kick it off. What is on the cover of this week's North Coast Journal?
So in true North Coast Journal fashion, at the very end of the year, our last issue is when we take a look at the big stories that happened in the year and highlight the biggest ones. And so it's our top 10 stories of 2022. And this year we added a couple bonuses because we just figured we might need a little bit of good news in our top 10 this year.
I love that it's called top 10 and then we get 12. So I'm already looking forward to hearing about it.
It's like a baker's dozen, but for news.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll save the taste of good news for the end. That'll be the 13th, the baker's bite at the donut or whatever. But why don't you tell us a little bit about what stood out to you as some of the inspiring top stories this year that you guys covered.
So there's some we probably didn't do full highlights on, and for that we're sorry, but we did give them a short shout out in the intro. But the top 10 stories included things like the most recent big news, which was the earthquake, the magnitude 6.4 earthquake, and everything that ensued after that, and the efforts that Jen will be talking about in a little bit. What else happened this year? Let's see. We got the cannabis crash in early 2022 when the farmers in Humboldt County asked for some tax relief and what happened with that. We also included the Bongio, Snyder, and Humboldt Planning Commission debacle with the mansion. And we also included the Yurok tribe's first murdered and missing Indigenous persons symposium, which kind of included action items on how to address this huge issue in Native populations and communities. And we also included some stuff that happened in the election with Arcata City Council member Brett Watson and Karen Paz Dominguez. When at the very, very end, we do include some good stories. There's a couple that I didn't mention, so you should go check it out. But the very end, we include some bonus stories that happened in October, which included the Sarah Bareilles concert and the Red Hot Chili Pepper concert that were free to the community and so much fun. And we also included the reintroduction of the California condors to the Yurok country, an effort led by the Yurok tribe. And to them, it's a sacred bird. And so seeing it come back to their community and their environment has just been a big milestone. And our digital editor, Kim Weir, actually followed this whole thing through, and it was really interesting because while we were in the office, she would get updates and she would come in to talk to us about it, and she'd let us know, oh, this bird is out and about, and this bird is still struggling to come out of its cage. And it was just really nice to follow along. And
I gotta say though, I really loved how these condors became like, some people watch The Bachelor. Kim watches the condors. She would come in and be like, you guys, I don't know about A2.
Yeah.
She's gonna be like, this one's not leaving the enclosure. I don't know what's going on. Or like, we haven't heard from this bird in a couple of days. And she's like genuinely worried. She's in it. She's invested, and I love it. And it's hard in a newsroom where you're covering like every day. I get messages on Slack from, my coworkers saying things like, I'll get this tragic story about the fatal car crash, or, everything's heartbreaking. They cover all this really deep, heartbreaking stuff. So when a story like that comes along, it's really nice to be able to root for something good, for positive change.
And that's exactly why we included them at the very end, so that we can end on a very positive note.
A palate cleanser.
A palate cleanser, yes, definitely.
So there was one other one that I don't think that you mentioned, the dam removal. I think that that's a multi-decade effort, and finally there was progress that sort of rewarded all those efforts of so many people, but including Yurok and Karuk tribal members. So that not only did a virtually highly endangered species get reintroduced, but then the habitat improvement. This is a multi-generational habitat improvement effort also. So these are big stories, and you mentioned that there were some things that got crowded out. The fish farm wasn't big enough, and the massive lightning complex fire wasn't big enough.
It's really hard to choose. Like, we sit around and I mostly watch, but I just like after the fact. But everybody's sort of picking apart. Some of it has to do with what people were talking about, what things kind of triggered other stories and triggered other kind of ripple effects in the community, what things were new, things that were new issues for us to be looking at and handling, things that are going to have impacts in the future for sure. We don't know, what the state of, for example, the fish farm is going to be. The wind farm issue seems to be more developed in terms of, how it's going to play out and immediate decisions that need to be made. And but they both have their merits. And, I don't know, could we have gone another way? Possibly. And what I enjoy most is the people who are going to write in about 5 minutes to tell us that we got everything wrong.
I wonder if you'll end up with more people writing in about, hey, these other things happen that are more significant, or if they'll be more critical of some of the things that we're going to talk about next, which is the things that were a little bit less less inspiring, so to speak. So Iridia, not to put you on the spot, but any other last thoughts about our list? I know we encourage everybody to go check it out on their own, but any last thoughts before we?
I think I'm just really hoping that 2023 brings more good news than any tragic, sad, dreadful news. So fingers crossed, knocking on wood, and all that sorts of stuff.
Iridia, it's great to hear from you and see you, and I'm sure we'll obviously connect again in the new year.
Definitely. Thanks.
Jen, what is going on? I know I alluded to it, but I think it's going to be fun. Why don't you tell us what you're covering this week in the Arts and Features beat?
Gather round, children. It's that time of year again, because with the top 10 stories of the year, the most important and impactful stories of the year that got serious news coverage and will continue to do so, also comes the annual top 10 dick moves of 2022 this year. And remember that when we talk about a dick move, it's not necessarily the worst thing a person can do. Some of those are just crimes. But a dick move, as is in the parlance of our times, I didn't invent the word. I am not trying to hurt all men with it. It's okay. You're going to be all right. The definition of a dick move is kind of like a smallish, selfish thing that you do on purpose because you can. You had the opportunity to do right, but instead you chose wrong. Often screwing over somebody smaller than you, less powerful than you, etc. And usually with a little bit of what I think the Grinch was supposed to have, garlic in his soul. Yeah. I do have garlic in my soul. So it's just meanness, unnecessary meanness. Breaking rules that we sort of have, sometimes unspoken rules about propriety, politeness, and just doing unto others as we would have done to us. This is doing unto others as often as you can. So we put together a list, and this is always tough. It's always tough to come up with partly because things have to fit that exact definition. There are plenty of worse things. And whenever I toss out the nomination, I say it's dick move season. What's everybody got? Usually, somebody out there will send me a suggestion for something that was just an absolute horrible crime, right? And sometimes we add in crimes when they are just, why do this, right? Like, for example, like last year, people stole the Lord of the Rings ring from the Eureka City Hall, and we were just like, why? Just leave it. My God. Petty, crappy behavior. But also people send in things and it's tough. It's not like there aren't enough dick moves. There's plenty. It is raining bad behavior out there. But some of those people want the attention. Some of them are the kids in class who are acting up because they want to be called out. I refuse to give them that satisfaction, nor should you. And sometimes they show up, they make a blatant ploy for attention from the journal in particular. Mm-hmm. And no, so I might lump them in. Like, for example, if you spent a lot of time attacking the LGBTQ community this year, that was a dick move, whatever that was that you did. And included in here, among them, is one such case, which was a protest of see my disdainful quote bunnies, a protest of the Redwood Pride Halloween party that happened over at the Jefferson Community Center, where protesters supposedly here to protect the children just scared the bejesus out of the children by showing up and yelling and being hostile at a family event that is fun and nice and full of people who love kids and love families, and a little too much rainbow, a little too much unconditional love from that crowd, I guess. But this has been a big year, as I point out, for people who attack drag shows as the most harmful thing out there for children, when I just want to remind you that now, like, a leading cause of death for kids is gunshots. Not so much false eyelashes, mostly the gunshots. Haven't seen a child die from a wig, but also we had the Earth. This is the Earth's first time on our list because of that 6.4 earthquake, which was tragic and a big thing, bigger than a dick move. But the dick move part of it is that the earthquake chose to focus on Rio Del and parts of Fortuna, where people are already low on resources. It's already tough to get help, to get services out there. And really, you got to, like, put those people on the street. You got to take their electricity and power. Like, there's all kinds of rich neighborhoods all over California, right? You could go and, like, split open Mar-a-Lago, Earth's crust. But sure, yeah. Pick on Rio Del. Seems rude. Also, as I said last week, rude for breaking only my really nice dishes and leaving all that ugly crap. We didn't include Brett Watson in this list, partly because a lot of his stuff, as you'll see in the paper, is worse than a dick move. It's just abusive. But we did include his fan base, the small group of people who did not get turned off by the misogyny and the other bad behaviors, but in fact decided that that is their political platform of choice. So those people, yeah, that sucked. We saw it. And there were a couple of other things. We always have people who are doing wrong by nature. For example, the people who stole Kevin the Seal. It was way back in, like, what was it, April, I think? Yeah, right? That was this year. That's the other thing. We always look at these and go, that was this year? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a dick move.
That was.
Leave wildlife alone. When you see baby seals, that baby seal's hardworking single mom is out procuring fish right now. She doesn't need to come home and find her kid missing.
I think that's part of the golden rule, right? The golden rule, don't take kids.
Don't take the kids.
Yeah.
So these people toss this baby seal into, wait for it, an aquarium. What did you have at home? A kiddie pool? Where were you going to put the seal? So they're definitely on the dick moves list. Kevin, by the way, is okay, but he had to, because he was essentially orphaned. It's like impossible to reunite them with their family. He had to be raised by the Marine Wildlife Center, which we include the number in the column. If you see an animal you think is in distress, let them handle it. Don't put it in your car. And we also included the people who used lead ammo and then left lead-contaminated, illegally shot elk out where the condors could snack on them and die. Yeah. Because my God, if Kim had to report on those condors dying, we would not be ready. I think we just shut down. That's the end of the paper.
Yeah.
But yes, there were some things that were big. There were some things that were smaller acts of dickery. And one of them is me. It's not my first time on the list. Those of you who work with me, I think, are still probably suffering PTSD from the time I put a neck warmer in the microwave for too long and filled the entire office with the smell of burning rice. You have never smelled anything as bad as burning rice. I imagine that when demons emerge from hell.
Wait, hold on. I got to interrupt you. I don't know if I'm asking something that's like taboo here, but I looked at the article. It's not clear to me what your move was.
So I apologize for that. What happened was Linda Stansberry and I share this dick move with her. We found a horrendous, mind-numbingly, face-meltingly bad podcast of a couple of bros broing out for, part one was an hour. Yeah. It was long. And it's a local podcast. And we looked at it and we were like, man, no way are we going to watch this thing. And then we were like, but Thad will. And we sent the link to Thad because we're terrible people. We're terrible people. His family needs him on the weekends. We didn't care. We sent it. He went down the rabbit hole as we knew he would, and he'll never get that time back. And we do it to him all the time. We'll send him a Facebook post knowing that he will go down the rabbit hole. We're bad people, and we're partly sorry about it.
So that's the move. You dogged that.
Yes, we're terrible.
But you did a public service, like a credit. You get a credit for not naming the podcast so no one else is polluted by the bro down.
Right. If I did that, it would just be like exponential dick moves out into the community. It would be like.
You'd be on the list for years.
Yeah, I would never work my way off of it. As it stands, yeah.
So the karma bar we're talking about here, the line, it's not like a health meter, it's not like an altruism meter, it's the other one, and you want to keep yours as small as you can. So I get it.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this confession will be good for my soul, but I think we both know it's not, because I'm a little bit proud. But I won't reveal who the number one dick move goes to this year. You'll have to pick up a paper, go online to see. But it's a bad one.
Yeah. And we've talked about it on this show, right? So it's
right. It wasn't you, Dave.
Good deal, thanks.
But as I always say, a dick move is a dick move. It doesn't make you a dick for life. Right? It's just a thing you did that maybe you can work your way back from, but it doesn't happen often, I'll be honest with you.
Because these aren't the people that are living mindfully with the purpose of, achieving in every moment has infinite potential to do good. These aren't those people typically.
True. That's true. And, watch this space. See if it happens.
Well, cool. Thanks for going over this list with you. There's a lot more in there. Hopefully people check it out. My face hurts from laughing about it. So I thank you for sharing that with us today.
Thank you. And I have much more positive news also.
Good deal. Let's hear it.
So one of the things that, I always believe that every story is a food story, because it is. And this time when the earthquake hit, my immediate thought is, how are people eating? Because without power, without gas, without electricity, without refrigeration, this is always a debacle for, you remember how the planned power outages and not so planned power outages hit restaurants hard, hit consumers hard, hit people hard in terms of being able to access food, especially in places that are like food deserts. It can be really tough. And I saw a call out on Facebook from World Central Kitchen asking to connect with food trucks. And I followed up on that and got in touch with folks, including Sam Block, who works for World Central Kitchen. He's stationed or based in Oakland, but he drove up as soon as everybody woke up to the news of the earthquake. They sprang into action. And then the folks of World Central Kitchen, which you may know from its founder, Jose Andres, who goes all over the world, and you'll see him cooking, 100-gallon vat of paella in the middle of a war zone somewhere, and helps people eat. It's a wonderfully clear mission, right? You decide calamity has befallen this place, whether it's, natural disaster, man-made disaster, what have you. How are we going to make sure that people can eat? And so they looked at the quake here, which doesn't look as devastating as some of the places World Central Kitchen ends up in. But when you don't have the means to cook for yourself or to get hot food, this is where they respond. So they sent just a couple people up north to set up stations in Fortuna and Rio Del, and they recruited food trucks to come and feed people, because food trucks already have power, water, all that stuff set up, refrigeration, all of that is ready to go. They come with their food prepped and they're ready to feed people on location. They don't need to plug in anywhere. So they set up these stations, and I went down to the one in Rio Del, and there were a lot of people there getting their first hot meal in 48 hours. Since the quake had destroyed some of them, the plumbing in their homes was destroyed. They were boiling water in order to be able to drink it. It was, as far as food, it was a food disaster. And so people were in a line of cars pulling up. Some people were standing in line. And I also got to talk to some of the folks who ran the food trucks. And by the way, in a very nice stroke of luck, Fortuna and Rio Del got some good food trucks, because Fogón Costeño was down there, Manzanilla was down there, the Taste of Bim truck was down there. They brought food from the Oaxaca Grill. They brought all kinds of stuff, both for to have on site and to deliver to seniors and stuff like that. And one of the cool things was I talked to David Velasco of Manzanilla Truck.
My boy David, nice.
Hey, isn't he? He's delightful.
I love him, yeah.
What a delightful man. He was in there with the guy from Fogón Costeño, and they were like sharing the Costeño truck, working together. And he basically, his neighbor is the guy from Jamie from the Loco Fish Co. truck. And Sam Block called Jamie saying, hey, do you think you can come down? And Jamie was like, listen, I just used up my inventory. I can't do it. But hold on a second. My next door neighbor is David Velasco. So David gets on the phone. He's like, yeah, I can do it. Before he even figures out how he's going to get paid or any of that, he's like, I'm in. And then he starts calling his friends. And he called the guy from Taqueria Martinez, Oaxaca Grill, and Fogón Costeño, and all these places. And Los Giles, and maybe one other one. And all these taqueros basically get together, and they're just like, all right, we're going to do it. And World Central Kitchen pays them a flat per plate price so that they don't lose money on this. But they went down there and they worked like, long days from early morning to late at night, feeding people and just like banging it out. It's not a lunch rush. It's not a dinner rush. It's an all day rush, cranking out thousands of meals. And they did it, and they are going to keep doing it until they're not needed anymore. And it was really beautiful to be able to cover that. And like I said, to be able to cover some good news.
Fantastic. This is a great, I got goosebumps just thinking about it. So this is really cool. I'm glad this our community stepped up, and shout out to everybody who did.
When you see these trucks around town, tip big. That's my advice.
Right on. Well, thank you, Jen. Big time. Thanks again to you also, Iridion. This was really great this week. We appreciate you guys in a big way.
Thank you.
North Coast Journal is available on newsstands now. Pick one up, stay informed. Also available online 24/7, so you can check them out anytime. Like I said, thanks again to you both, Jen and Iridion. Thanks out there for listening, and we'll connect with everybody again next week. Take care till then. Bye, guys.